Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, today I'm outside, so there won't be any transcript today, and I'm walking through my town. Next Sunday is Remembrance Sunday, and that's the day when people here will remember those who've died and have fought in the two great wars, the First World War and the Second World War. Preparations are already underway, and I can see that there are railings and barriers being placed around key parts of our town. Now, Remembrance Sunday, the day we remember the war dead, is a really big thing here. There'll be a huge procession in central London involving our royals at the cenotaph, and they'll be putting down wreaths of flowers. Many people here, and if you watch British TV, you'll see, are wearing red poppies. These are little paper flowers which they wear in the lapel of their jackets. They look like little paper flowers. Some of them have a little bit of green behind them, and we buy those to support the British Legion and other charities which look after soldiers, because of course people who were fighting in both of those wars, they would be very, very old now if they're still alive. And also these organizations, they look after current soldiers, and they support families of those who are fighting in different countries. Now, Remembrance Sunday used to be a huge Remembrance Day, and British people were always supporting it. But the tide is changing now, and what I mean by that is that more and more people are beginning to question why we're kind of glorifying or celebrating war. At 11 a.m. next Sunday, the 12th of November, we'll be asked to stay silent for 2 minutes. Or perhaps it's 1 minute now, where we're supposed to reflect on those people who've died. More and more people, like myself, we don't usually do that. In fact, I'm very against this idea of celebrating, glorifying, or remembering war. Anyway, I'm standing at the War Memorial in my town, and it's very plain, grey. Clearly it's getting on in years because it's not as beautiful as perhaps once it was. But I want to try to describe it for you, and also to say what's going to happen next week. So first of all, this war memorials in the UK, we have one in every town and city, sometimes more than one, and they're generally referred to as the cenotaph. Okay, it's a Latin word, so I don't know what the plural is. I suppose anglicized, it's simply the cenotaphs. But basically, if I look at it now, it's a large oblong rectangular structure, and on the top of it there's a man on a horse who's holding some kind of flag which looks like it may have been vandalized. On the side of this thing there's many plates with the names of the people that died during both wars. And these memorials are looked after by a special commission of the government. Likewise, the graves of soldiers are always looked after by a special department. I think that's the Commonwealth Graves Commission. So this war memorial looks very grand compared to other things standing around it. It's large, grey. Clearly it's fading. The weather hasn't been kind to it, and the shields, which are also stone on one side of it, really are very withered. But the metal plaque is still there, and on one side it talks about both wars, to the glorious memory of certain people, and then on the other side it has a whole list of names of people who supposedly died for the country. So it's very beautiful, and it's a major part of our town's structure. And in every town, there's a war memorial. So that describes the war memorial. So what happens next week? Well, the mechanism or the machine that operates the UK is composed of three different sides. There's the government, there's the military, and after the military, there's also the church. So the government, the military, and the church, those are three sides of the same coin. So the head of the government, the royals, and they will be making huge parades in London, but their representatives all over the UK will be leading marches to the war memorial to lay flowers. Now, the churches all have special services on Remembrance Sunday, especially those which are authorised and financed by the government. Some of the smaller churches might not bother, but they'll be coming here to this war memorial, and they'll be laying down wreaths, and then they'll be having 1 minute or a 2-minute silence. The one in London is usually heavily televised, so I'm sure you can pick that up. The Queen hasn't done the one in London for a number of years because of her failing health, but Prince Charles and no doubt his Queen will both be there, as well as the royal family. They all are involved in the military, of course. They all have military honours. And you can watch that live on TV. Here, it's rather a low-key affair. Many people will be coming and will actually follow the parades live as they're walking, both on radio, TV locally, and some people will attend and walk with the royal representatives to each war memorial in every town. How long this will continue, I don't know, because more and more churches are closing and more people just aren't interested in this kind of thing, which, if I have to be quite honest, I can understand. It is rather an outdated ritual, especially since my generation, nobody can remember people who died during the war. We're simply too young. So it's another one of these things which probably will disappear after a while. But I think it's not just about these two wars and current conflicts in the world. It's about remembering that democracy has to be defended. That's what they tell us anyway. I don't know if everyone agrees with that. But anyway, that's what will be happening next week here in the UK. It's rather a big thing. And with current conflicts happening, I would expect there to be some protests, because we're seeing protests every other week. So I would imagine that there will be some problems, not only here, but across the country. So that's something else for you to look out for. Just to give you a cultural kind of context of this, so we have this war memorial, which is a very glorious old statue. It looks almost Victorian, but of course it has to be newer than that. I think it was probably built shortly after the war in the 1940s. But directly behind that is Pound Stretcher, a shop where you can buy everything at a pound. Across the road from that, on the other side, there's a bank. So it looks very outdated compared to the other shops that are around it. There's also an estate agent there and a very empty, boarded up building. Also on the other side, there's another old boarded up building which isn't currently being used. I don't know what's happening with that. So it's kind of one of the last remaining structures that people still attend to. I think everything else is looking a little bit dilapidated. And that's it. So that will be next week, the 12th of November. And it will be very beautiful to see. I mean, people will be all dressed up, wearing hats and also the Scottish kind of uniform. But that's not something for everyone. Not everyone enjoys this, and especially the younger people. I think they're scratching their heads saying, why are we doing this? But it's something that we are taught at school, about being British, and this is one of these British things that we have to do every year. So I guess there'll be a lot of security this year as more and more people are protesting about current conflicts in the world. And that's it. So that'll be next week, Remembrance Sunday. All the barricades are sitting here waiting to surround this memorial next week. And as more and more churches close, I don't know who will lead this anymore, because it's usually led by a religious clergyman along with the royal representative. But once they all go, there is a question there about the future of this. It is one of these things that's absolutely huge in British culture. So I'm sure you're going to be seeing news presenters wearing the red poppy. You'll also be hearing other things about this, and I'm sure you can watch the ceremony live on BBC iPlayer or BBC World, because they always broadcast this, especially the moment's silence. A lot of the European royals come to the UK, and they will be participating in the services in London as well, because they're all cousins of each other, our European royal families. But that's not the reason why they're coming. They're really coming because they'll be remembering democracy and what that means, trying to show some kind of unity. So you can look out for that. All right, so that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this. Remember, no transcript today. I'm still looking around to see where I can get a good AI transcript. But so far, there isn't anything that really works for me. But I'll keep you updated on that. And I'll see you all again soon. See you. Bye.